Then the title today is sort of from ethical to health beliefs, and I could even alter it a bit from ethical beliefs to health benefit to actually give a first little glimpse of what I will talk about. Since we are brand positioning experts in food and health, it means that what we do is we help companies find strategic directions for healthier brands and healthier business. So what we try to do is to help our customers understand what is happening in the food and health area, why it is happening with consumer drivers, and most importantly, how you can make it happen for your brand. And in that context, we help companies create new brands, we help them find new direction or sometimes even new life when they are threatened by the health trends. And we deliver this very much with consulting and training and always based on consumer insights. And the plant-based trend is pretty interesting because you say it's really been a part of our history. So, and in a way, you can say our consulting has followed the plant-based trend. So if I start before 2012, we were actually working quite a lot with lactose-free milk. And with companies like Valio, lactose-free was then addressing consumers who couldn't tolerate milk from different reasons. And in 2012, was working with Oatly, and they realized that they basically had at the time the same positioning as lactose-free milk. So very much looking at a functional position. And what we did in the repositioning of Oatly was actually to redirect them from a functional positioning that was targeting a condition into an ethical position. With the growing number of vegans, let's say the purpose of Oatly and its founder matched very well the vegan consumers and their beliefs in a world without meat and dairy products. So it led Oatly to take a very strong, you can call it exclusive position with this, let's say, wow, no cow, and attacking the dairy industry. So they actually were sort of targeting a very small but growing number of consumers who were very dedicated to follow this brand. So they bonded with this new vegan consumer group, and in that sense also avoided the larger mass market. And we've seen the result of that. They have created an extremely strong brand that has surfed on the trend where veganism today is, for many consumers, seen as healthier. And then if we move then into the next phase, an example from 2016, when we worked with a Swedish university startup who had created an emulsion based on potatoes and rapeseed oil. That then led to a positioning that was much more inclusive, so to create a healthy convenience food that was free from all the allergens and full of the goodies like omega-3, fibers, etc. So now plant-based was actually moving to the early mass market. And then from 2018 into 2019, we were then also working with FMCGs who are now either threatened by or had to react to the plant-based trend, or who had entered the plant-based territory by buying brands. And then it was very much about sort of starting to gain share of mouth or share of stomach with plant-based products. So if you look at this, it clearly means that we have then, in our analysis model, we can then see how the trends have gone from the early niche trends targeting condition-driven consumers on lactose-free into the belief-driven emerging trends with vegans, and now how we see that the plant-based trend is actually embedded and very much driven by not just by health, but by sustainability and climate, which gives consumers the permission to buy these products, and why we see the growth of flexitarians. So if you can create a tasty and good product, I already have the permission to buy it because it makes me feel good. So this is really important to understand, that what we try to help our clients with is basically understand where to play and how to win in this growing category. If you could target the condition-driven consumers as with lactose-free, or if you targeted the very lifestyle-driven consumers in the early adopter stage who want like the Oatly product, or if you target now the mass market consumer, the early mass market, with solutions that fit their daily routine. Or if you really want to go all the way to the late mass market and start to position plant-based as the new normal, which is then actually the end point for a new category that's coming into the market today. And what we see today is, of course, it has traveled almost all the way in many markets. So it meant that the starting point was these brands that was really taking the alternative and fighting the dominating dairy or meat-based companies. And that then sort of has led to the next phase where we see mass market companies like Danone, both in dairy and you see also meat companies are now developing plant-based products. And then, of course, this is now targeting the flexitarians. So it's brands you recognize, and it's all about taste and pleasure and health. And then finally, you also start to see the retailers are now also developing their own brands, or basically selling plant-based under their own brands. So normalizing plant-based with lower prices. And so what we see from a branding point of view is that there's an evolution from ethical beliefs to health benefits that creates new brand narratives. So brands that are entering today are working with health, with pleasure, and with other narratives. And the ethical narrative may be playing sort of a second fiddle, or to be totally avoided, because we see how many consumers let's call it in the mass market, actually do not like to be described as vegans, or actually they shy away from the vegan labels. So you need to understand how to label your products. So plant-based is now coming up as the mass market description in this shift. And of course, the plant-based category is now open to mass market brands. And this is why we now see both dairies and meat producers entering the plant-based area, because now we're targeting the flexitarians. So it's no longer about the ethical beliefs. So you can be a cow milk producer and also produce plant-based products, as long as you have sustainability and climate issues under control. So it becomes very much about transparency and traceability of your values. So this creates a new set of rules for the marketplace. And the new rules of the game, when you now move into the mass market, is actually purity and free from. And the same rules apply for animal and plant-based companies entering the flexitarian market. And we have a couple of quotes here, one relating to plant-based. When it comes to plant-based, I was horrified by the number of ingredients that I'd never heard of. And this is actually an opportunity for what we call plant-based 2.0, to actually sort of create clean plant-based products. And that's an opportunity also for dairy products and to actually work on the purity. And as we've seen with dairy company, the Chateau Milk Company in US are really working on the purity, on the pure honest milk, no bull, and the cows can't speak, so we let the milk do the talking. So by actually creating clarity with transparency on your values, you can actually play the game on the same battlefield with the plant-based. So, and as you see, attention to ultra-processed foods may drive further demand for natural ingredients. And this goes for plant-based as well as for animal-based. So it's a new set of rules. It's not plants versus cows. It's actually, it's purity versus processed. And in this context, transparency becomes a must. And we see that customers want access to everything from the sourcing policy and product nutritional information to the human rights policies. So, and it's like the message from Chateau, see the milk we put into our milk. So as a friend of mine said, if you want to enter the future market of plant-based, you need to be able to put a video camera in your stables or whatever wherever you produce your products. So the understanding or the answer to the question of where to play and how to win is that you need to understand where are your consumers playing and where are your brands playing. And that is very much based on what kind of company you are and what right you have to play in different areas. So if we go back to where we started, if you're working in areas that are condition driven, like for example lactose free, then you are targeting a consumer looking for something for their condition. If you're very much in the ethical area, then you are creating a lifestyle brand and you are targeting a consumer who really want change and who wants to be an advocate of change. If you're a mass market company, then your job is to bring solutions to the mass market consumer. And it's all about food and how it fits into their lives. And then, of course, if you're in the late mass market, then you can look for how do you normalize these new categories for your consumers. And then, of course, you need to understand how far has this plant-based trend come on this trend life cycle that we work. And these are the rules. And if you want more insights on the emerging consumer trends from our research, from our consumer lab, then you can just check in our website where we are reporting on global game changers. And we're also deep diving into consumer beliefs together with university research. So with that, I would just thank you for your attention. And you could check out, if you want to know more, you can just contact me directly or check out our website. So thank you very much.